Scheherazade Washington Parish and Tylonn Sawyer, welcome to American Black Journey.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Having us.
Yeah. Well, let's start with, this is half of the collective that's put this exhibition together. There are four of you, all artists living and working here in Detroit. But tell us, you guys are friends. You've known each other a long time. I want to hear about the genesis of that friendship and how this whole thing comes together.
We all became friends in stages, and me and Tylonn became friends first. And it's odd that I don't quite remember when it happened. Like, I remember him being in rooms, like even at the same table, and he remembers different, moments where we were together. But when it clicked, it was forever ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Some of what I'm getting at here is that, Detroit is a pretty small place in terms of the artist community, and people run into each other, people rub elbows with each other, and the idea that we're kind of all one community, I think, is pretty easy to get at here. That there are lots of connections among artists.
Right.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I know, like I was a writer and a poet, so I met Scheherazade in the poetry scene, and then somehow like Sydney, I remember being at like an artist event and meeting Sydney, and then I needed a ride to another event, and she gave that to me, and literally we've been friends ever since then. Rashaan knew me online, and I met him outside the art store. And like ever since then, just somehow, some way, shape, or form, we've all like connected and just been friends first. And then, like everybody had their own individual sort of like artistic practice going on. But we were definitely like friends before we sort of like settled into an artistic collective.
I met Sydney at a birthday party, and it was decided then that we were friends.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this wonderful exhibition you guys have put together. Where the idea for that comes from?
Well, Jeff Cancelosi at the Detroit Artist Market asked us about it maybe a little over a year ago, and we all had different things going on. So we were, I think he asked about it actually before the pandemic, right? If I'm not mistaken. And so once the pandemic happened, things had to be shifted around, and so just throughout the year, like we all still worked on like our individual projects, but because we are friends and we talk or chat, every day, we just sort of like discuss like our work and our practice and like what it was gonna look like when it's finally decided to come together. And here we are, like in this one exhibition.
And it's reflective of not just the Detroit experience, but the Black experience. Scheherazade, talk about how important that is.
That's always an interesting question for me. And I always want to say, right, it's as important as being Black is. And it is very difficult to wrap my head around like separating these experiences, right? That is a thread that weaves us together, is this Black experience, this Black in Detroit experience, this Black in America experience. And so I don't think it is as important as our lives here are.
Yeah. So given that, how do you choose then what goes in the exhibition? How do you choose the things that you want to include and what you leave out?
I'll say those pieces choose me, right? That's the easy way out. No, you choose the pieces that, because this is a group show, it's a collective presentation. You choose the pieces that speak to one another, that have a conversation with themselves as well as the audience, is what I would say.
Yeah, and Tylonn, what about for you? Choosing what goes in this exhibition, what you wanna say with it.
Well, my work always interrogates what it means to be a Black American. And so just coming off like a show um, where it's like different bodies of like different aspects of my work will talk about the Black experience in America. And so just thinking about like conceptually which one would complement, you know, like my peers, like in this particular exhibition. Like I would say, like, I think that my work and Scheherazade work sort of like has a conversation in that we kind of talk about this idea of the monolith of Blackness. And so for my, you know, like from my particular body of work, I was taking on sort of the concept of what I call Black on Black thought crime, sort of when Black thought leaders and intellects sort of debate each other in this intellectual arena publicly. And thus it seems like there may be a schism in Black unity because of that. And I know Scheherazade's work dealing with redaction in a way that taking a piece of writing that somebody may have had and then like removing things to get to the core of it, which, you know, in this particular case, I know it was about the Hannah Black issue, who was also a Black woman. Then when we look at Sydney and Rashaan's work, Sydney's work is about the Black woman experience and Rashaan's work is about a Black male experience. And so thinking about this sort of like how those sorts of images that we create just kind of all work in tandem with one another, I'd say like that's, you know, just throughout our conversations, it just kind of naturally coalesces that way, you know.
You know, it's a really interesting time to be a Black American. There's a lot of conversation that is that's going on. There are a lot of things that are happening that I don't think any of us might have predicted a year ago, 2 years ago, and and I think that has an influence over art. It has an influence over art in every different artist's space. So I wonder for the two of you. What that effect has been, and I guess how it's changed your relationship with your art as we see the world kind of come apart a little bit around the idea of inequality and a real push toward a really different set of conversations, at least, if not yet solutions. Scheherazade?
I can definitely say that this, you know, these past couple of years have shown up in my work in the way that it is. I use these pre-existing works, pre-existing text, and through that, like, things are taken away, things are erased, you know, blacked out, and it's very much parallel to how my life has been. I am in my house and this is the structure, and I have to take away things to make time for art and add things to, you know, still be the mom, you know, all these things. And so lately it mirrors my actual life mirrors the process of my work.
Wow. Tylonn, how about you?
Well, my work is, like I said, because it deals primarily with the intersection of politics, pop culture, race, individual and collective identity, just sort of like what's been happening and towards these national conversations. It's almost like content overload, like in a way of like things to pull from that you could like make a body of work from, because there's just so many facets, you know, like from poverty to police brutality towards Black excellence. You know, there's still positive things to constantly talk about as well, but definitely like in the last year, you know, between 2020 and now, it's definitely been like just sort of like a flood of like all of these issues maybe that we've been talking about throughout the years, just sort of like being dumped right into our minds or like in our laps in a way. And I found that like from my work, it's important to kind of like sift through that and see if I can find something to really, really like hone in and interrogate it and be able to present that to the public in a cohesive way and an emotional way.
So this exhibition is at the Detroit Artist Market. Talk about what you want people who come to see it to take away. What message from your work and from the collective do you want to leave with people? Scheherazade?
I want people to read my work. And from that work, I want them to um, question it. I want them to question their place in it. How are they implicated? And I want them to leave with thoughts of changing whatever whatever discomfort they may experience. That's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. And, you want people to be a little uncomfortable when.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you can sit comfortably with the work, I would question that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Tylonn, what about you?
For me, I would say it's my hope that people come there, like they pay attention to the work and its political implications and think about what it means to be Black and what really are our issues and like how we can work together and compromise to like solve these particular problems rather than constantly debating each other publicly and picking apart things. But let's find, like something that we have in common, a particular issue that we are capable of solving, and then let's break that apart and dissect it and then like really, really like accomplish our goals. My work is always thinking about us, like first Black people, but then the world like as a whole. But I'm a strong proponent that you need to take care of home first before you can take care of like anything else. And so that's why my work always starts from a Black perspective and then goes outward from there.